Hello and welcome to what will be episode 5 of Mortgage Mythbusters. Do I even know the name of the podcast? Good to see you back and thanks again for listening. So last week we tackled the myth that you wouldn't find a mortgage advisor on TikTok. You certainly will now.
We've busted the myth, so I want to ask you, do you know of a mortgage advisor that is on TikTok? Now on TikTok.
And do you know what? It's going to take some time before I'll shout about it because it's horrific. We did a few videos and they've got like traction, and I think one of the videos got something 700 thumbs up. So someone has watched the video and thought that me talking about whatever the myth was or whatever I was talking about, can't even remember. They give us a thumbs up 700 times. Customers, right. Potential customers, you would say it like that. And that was bonkers, but I'm not happy with it. So I think it's one of these we're going to have to play with.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard to put yourself on video. I mean, I'm the worst actor in the world. And I'm just calling myself out. That noise was the guest, but I'll tell you who that is in a second.
It took a bit of editing, put it that way. But I think everything sound-wise, I think the video was fine. I think, and it got across what you wanted, but then it's had to be edited. We've had to come up with a style that matches what you want and something a bit gritting. And I think I think it's a series of things that will start growing and get better and better.
Do you know the problem is that people who's had success is exactly the opposite that we want our page to come across. So you look at their numbers and think, I want that many followers. So we're just going to stick it, just like this podcast, we're going to stick to our roots and just let it grow naturally.
But it's all about growth, isn't it? Like you said last time, it'll evolve. Those people won't have had thousands of followers straight away, and it's just something that you just got to keep.
Yeah, have you? Because I've given you obviously the access to TikTok with Barry being the designer.
I haven't been on it yet, but
because I'm just wondering how much you've wasted time wise by just like not
just looking. No, I do enough of that just on Facebook Reels, which is a similar thing, isn't it? But well, no. So we've got what we did the first one. I did another one in the last day or two for you. So, but then we've got a bank of a few that you've got ready to.
Yeah. We need to get better at making them, as in like the production of it. I bought a selfie stick for the first time since whenever they first came out. So they will get better. So we apologise, but stick with us. It's hard to make mortgages interesting. Trust me. So on to today's myth, which is my mortgage broker is better than yours. So that's what we're busting in. To do that, I brought in another mortgage broker, and I'd welcome you to Faz from Infinite Financial Services.
Hi, hello everybody. Thank you for having me on board, Paddy.
All right. Who are you, Faz? Who are you?
Oh, quite depends who you ask. I'm me. I'm a mortgage advisor of 20 odd years experience. Started as a lot of mortgage advisors do in the estate agency world. Served my time and decided to then go it alone. I haven't looked back since. Love doing what I do. Love the interaction with the clients. Love just meeting different people, helping them, the usual stuff that you'd expect a mortgage advisor to say. And I can definitely say I'm a better mortgage advisor than you, Paddy.
Yeah, that's
brilliant. That was one of my later questions.
that's the myth busted.
So just to quickly touch on something there, you said that as a lot of people do, we started off as a estate agency. Why is that? Is there a reason for that or not? Because I've heard it a few times and Paddy's mentioned that. Is it just because obviously the relationship between buying a house and needing a mortgage, or is it?
I'd give estate agency route credit where it's due. It's very structured, very targeted, very well drilled, almost like a military style of training where you have to become who they want you to become.
Yeah.
Likewise, I'd say McDonald's as an employer, I'd say is fantastic because the protocols they have in place churns out a conveyor belt of very good staff members. And I think in mortgage industry, to go through the initial training in a very structured manner brings out a very compliant, well-drilled mortgage advisor that does things in the right way. Yeah. Likewise in the banks, a lot of the bank advisors are stood because of the very heavy regulated process that they follow. And it's everybody does the blanket approach, like in the estate agency. It brings out a very compliant, good mortgage advisor, and you learn how to do things properly, which I think has served me well. Certainly,
it's a good question for the myth guys because there are our competitors. So back in the day, an estate agent would almost, as a default, have a mortgage advisor there. So the second you see that property you're interested, you'd move over to the next desk and speak to them.
That was me.
That was Faz.
So that's working within the estate agent as a mortgage advisor.
And it's still,
right.
it's still kind of there. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we're myth busting this myth of my mortgage broker's better than yours, we can come back and link into that. I'm more interested in kind of introducing Faz and people saying, well, why have you got another mortgage broker on here? Like Faz is a massive, if not is Paddy James Solutions, and part of the same company. So for all I might say, use Faz because he's brilliant. It benefits us as much as it would him recommending me as well.
We're all one. We're all part of the same group.
We're a team. They call trading styles, and we all come under Infinite Financial Services, which is Faz's baby that he set up a long time ago now. He mentioned the military there. He took me on when I left the military, and I came from a background. We're not bothered about me. But this is my chair, by the way. I'm going to try and sit so that I can't.
So we had a dog in last time, making all noise. We've got Paddy's chair this time.
Yeah, it's making a noise.
It adds to the character.
Only when I don't want it to. So yeah, we work with Faz. When I came back into the industry, Faz didn't have to, and Ian took me under their wing.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to Ian as well.
Yeah.
So it's the baby started with Ian and a lot of mentoring from the old wise head. He won't like me saying that, but
Has he dodged the podcast on purpose?
No,
he's set up for another.
This is Ian's so bad at technology that he's still here. He just still
Yeah.
he doesn't know what a podcast is.
He'll never know.
Write a letter in.
This is the side of like the Paddy James Solutions side that we have to do because of our wide range and military audience and the fact that we're more national on that level. That we're reaching out to the customers that we might be missing. Whereas with Ian's and Faz's bank of clients being based in Chorley and not the northwest where we are, you almost would see us as two separate companies, or like competitors, wouldn't you? The way Faz and Ian do things differently and it bloody works. Right. I do things my way and it works. So that's kind of going back to this myth of the answer to this myth is, in my opinion, is that every mortgage broker, it depends on the customer who fits your needs. Not. There's no such thing as one better than the other. There will be a person who's better at doing their job, and with experience that'll be obvious. But my myth busting is that it's about knowing your customer and connecting and making sure that you're with someone that is able to do the job for you and communicate with you in the service. It's not down to the nitty gritty of the products because technically they should be the same. Right. The end result should be.
Or location, I take it, and you say Faz is down Chorley way. It doesn't.
It's
if I wanted a mortgage, I could still go to you. It's all done.
Yeah, especially
remotely.
These days.
Yeah,
these days, and since the pandemic, a lot of people are now comfortable with the Zoom and Teams appointments. If I'm honest, I still prefer face to face.
Right.
But I'll maybe get onto that a little bit later. But picking up on what you just said, Paddy, about knowing who your customer is and dealing with what you're comfortable with. In reality, on paper, every mortgage advisor is as qualified as the next one because we've all got the same qualifications to become a mortgage advisor.
Yeah.
And again, one myth you could always go on to later in the podcast series is we all use almost the same tools to reach the same kind of advice, go through the advice process, and the tools that we use are almost the same across the industry that allow us to do the research to make our recommendations. So in reality, if you break it right down to the basics, we should all be the same and come out with the right outcomes. However, I think one thing that makes a good advisor better than somebody else, first of all, I think experience and knowledge, and that is vital. For example, there are a lot of financial advisors, and financial advisors will hate me saying this, but who also dip in and out of the mortgage world because they want to help the clients do their mortgage. For me, unless you're doing mortgages day in, day out and have that constant involvement in especially in these days, the very fluid market that we're working in, a financial planner who's constantly doing pensions, investments and savings, doing the odd mortgage once a month, I wouldn't say I won't necessarily give the right advice, but maybe my philosophy is stick to what you know best. So not just
like jack of all trades in a way, isn't it? I suppose you try and, like, from my view, is I would want to go to someone who's the expert.
Absolutely, but also even within mortgages, I've got 20 odd years of experience. I'd say more about double the time served in the mortgage industry than Paddy. But I've passed clients on to Paddy because they're in the military, because I know his expertise. Just in little things like reading the pay slips from the military and the the language used and the different kind of payments that come through. His understanding of that is going to be far better than mine. Yeah. So why would I want to have a go at that when I know there's somebody better placed to actually give that client the advice and have the best outcome for the client?
And especially now more than ever, I'm going on the basis that actually the interest rate and the fees and that is all like a byproduct of the advice. So the advice is actually help and support for the customer. So actually, we could always go up against the banks, and I'm quite open on this podcast that going to your bank is a good option because their rate may not be as good, the fees may be horrific compared to what you could get if you shopped about. But if you've got a relationship with your bank where you're comfortable that you can afford what they're offering you, and the service is up there, then you're going to take that. But I could be the opposite and say, actually, they're only looking at one lender's product and I'm looking at everything. I don't think that's a bad thing as long as that one lender's product meets your needs. Yes, you will be missing out on something left or right 99% of the time. But that's not always the case, that because you didn't save 10 pence a month or a pound a month, it doesn't mean that you're missing out on something that isn't actually more beneficial to have that personal service from your bank and ease of application. So I would never kind of hiss or throw my dummy out of the pram if a customer came to me and then still ended up going to their bank.
Well, I did this, didn't I? We've said this on a previous podcast. I was with a bank, came to you, you looked at it because I was on such a good rate because it was a low tracker from a long time ago.
Yeah,
I've ended up going with them, but now the way things are gone, it's time to reassess again, it's coming around that time again, and I think
I'll give you my card later.
Yeah, I need a real mortgage advisor. That's all right. Paddy advised you.
But it's got to be. There are companies out there that will try and win business by kind of backstabbing. The cowboys from the industry disappeared when I rejoined. They went through heavy change in the regulation, MCOB. And it did make the job so difficult in terms of documentation, evidence, and backing up your research and things like that.
I wouldn't say different. It made it different. Some people struggle with it difficult because I went through that, but I think it made it better. And I 100% agree with it. It got rid of some bad advisors, but I think there was another phase of what you could almost call a cull of advisors that were commission chasers and subprime, high charging fees. Of broker fee kind of advisors, where the financial crash, 2007, 2008, when half of mortgage advisors or brokers, who we say, left the industry because they just either didn't have the good client bank to be able to continue doing the stuff that they needed to generate an income, but also gave up with dealing with the job and doing it right.
Yeah.
So where you were saying earlier about the sort of basic training that you need, everyone's on the level playing field. Did that come in then? Is this what Paddy's talking about, or is it more regulations and sort of bigger restrictions and things on how you manage the clients? If you see what I mean.
Like Faz just said, the customer bank. Think of it like a builder. I always go back to builders, don't I?
You do. A builder likes this.
But you wouldn't get that builder who's built your conservatory to come and also knock your garage up if you didn't trust in them. So that's their existing customer bank who said, I know my builder and I trust in him.
Yeah.
The ones who have survived, like Faz and Ian, who survived literally, I mean, we compare COVID, we do this, but there was no mortgage products out there. The banks weren't lending. So you wanted a mortgage, but you couldn't bloody have one. But when customers were coming to them, you already had your customers who had a mortgage, who so technically had the conservatory built, then needed the garage, and they would come back to Faz, and the ones that didn't survive were the ones that their customers didn't want to go back to them because they probably put them in a position previously which was a selfish, more about getting their fee. So Faz and Ian survived and came out smelling the roses because of their customer service and
to less competition out there. But I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say all of them, that didn't survive were doing the job not right or had ulterior motives in the way they treated clients with fees that were charging and stuff. But it's documented there were quite a few. But ultimately, it's about doing the job right for the clients. And if you do the job right for the clients, you will build up the trust. And that's the word that I would use, is the thing that makes the difference between a good advisor and a bad advisor. People don't buy an NatWest mortgage off me or take an NatWest mortgage off me. People buy me and what I advise them. So you buy, ultimately, you buy off people. So I have to instill trust in new clients when I meet them to explain how I work. And I think the regulatory environment we work in allows us to do that. So that almost like the initial process you'll go through with a new client, explaining who you are, how you operate. And I do the same, setting out my stall as to who I am and how I can help the clients helps with the building of the trust. Even for the clients that have been referred to me by long-standing clients and said, you can only use Faz, don't use anybody else. I will treat that client as a new client and build a rapport with them. But if you do the right thing by the client every time, then there is no reason for them to go to another broker.
Doesn't matter. Like someone could say to me who I mean, at the minute, obviously, I'm with my bank, so I know who it is. But say for insurance, if they came to me and said, who are you with for your insurance? I couldn't tell them, but I know that I've come to PGS. I know I've come to Paddy to sort it. So it's more like, say, the person you're dealing with. You trust them with everything. I know nothing about mortgage. I'm honestly, you if you listen back to the other episodes, I am clueless with this kind of stuff. I'm clueless with anything like that, with the protection side, but I would trust, obviously I've trusted Paddy to sort me out with a product, which I'm assuming is exactly what I need from it covered. So it's the person, as you say, it's getting that relationship, getting that trust. How do you go about it? Is it word of mouth, a lot of it, to get people through the door, or are you...
At Infinite, we honestly don't do any advertising. We obviously have our Facebook page, which we ask for reviews, because I think that's one of the strongest ways. We don't pay. The only advertising we've done over the last few years is sponsored a local grassroots football team. And I can honestly say we've had more, and that was more to help the community and kit out 120 odd kids with football kits that they desperately needed to go, because no other body would sponsor them. But the return that we've had I've had off one client through referrals from a business point of view has been a bigger money generator than sponsoring 120 kids football kits to go and run out on a Sunday morning playing grassroots football. And it's not to say that the football team didn't trust what we did or anything. It was because that one client, you do a good job for them, they refer you to somebody else, and the snowball effect then takes hold. So a lot of people think, you can build a brand and the brand is trusted and just keep splashing your brand about. There's no better way of building trust within groups of people and friends and colleagues and communities through referrals. And that's the best way of doing it. And for us, the best way of achieving that trust or gaining the trust is, I go right, doing the job right. A lot of it comes from getting the right products, making the right recommendations, which the regulated process we go through, knowledge and experience we have allows us to do that. But it's the service you provide as well. So, I moved myself last July, and I used a solicitor that gave me updates every 4 or 5 working days, and I loved it. Some of his updates were what I would call non-updates. He would say, I'm just letting you know I'm still waiting for replies.
But at least you know where you are.
Absolutely. And that made me think, because I never felt out of touch with the process. Because obviously I'd done my own mortgage, I knew what was happening with that, but the legal stage, I didn't know. And that's the feeling that I think my clients have when they come to me for the mortgage. They trust me to take care of that part. And it's keeping in touch with them, keeping them updated. And it's little things like that that create a good feeling of a great service being provided.
So this is what you've touched on in previous episodes, is that communication, isn't it? And making people feel like they're in the loop. And that for me is a massive thing.
But this is we're the complete opposite on socials, and I wouldn't say advertising as Faz and Ian's Infinite, because what we do is we do exactly what Faz is saying. So we highlight the customer review, we graphic it up, we share it. We have tried the old sticking our business advert in the back of Soldier magazine, and we can't gauge how much of that. But too many people have left the military and set up businesses, and ask any of them, it's all word of mouth.
Absolutely.
The military is horrific at not letting someone know when someone's done a good job of it. Like, it's almost a bully tactic of, Paddy was great, you're going to use him. They are all over you. As soon as they know that you're doing something, whether it's booking a holiday, if they've used someone that's done a good job and given them a good service, they appreciate something rotten, because they like to have less stress and things looked after. So they'll always come back and they shout from the rooftops. We're aiming for this pushing the PGS brand and making sure that people understand who we are, highlighting why we're so good, because trust me, it's got nothing to do with me being better than your mortgage broker. It's to do with my back staff team. Yeah, so it's my admin, my paraplanners, the guys who make sure that compliance wise we're not missing a single trick, making sure that the advice I've given the advice I've given that actually comes out the back end and they get the keys, because it's all good me saying I can get you 1.99, but it doesn't actually turn into a deal. And then it's like my mentors Faz and Ian, who's being able to say, Paddy, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Believe me, we've had many of those conversations over the years.
The red arrows flying with your banner at the back of them, that's just not going to work to get your customers, because you think it will and it won't, but it's about saying, look at what the customer said about us. Don't listen to what we're saying. Because if I say I'm good, that's all good, but let me prove it. But before you do that, you need to do your research. You need to speak to your bank, because there might be an offer on the table there that takes 5 seconds. But then come back to us and let us look at that research and say, yeah. Don't come to us and say, I've seen one mortgage broker. I'm going to see you, then I'm going to go and see another. Because yes, you can go to meet the person, but don't expect the outcome to be game changing, like that I'm going to come and save you £100 a month.
I think there's something else that's on the horizon that just because of the way the market has changed, that's going to really distinguish between good advisors who have that good trusted relationship with existing clients, in that really over the last 10 years, to a certain extent, mortgage advisors have been order takers. And I've said this a few times. Client comes back 2 or 5 years every time, and you've given them great news. Interest rates have come down. What's your plans? Are you looking at moving? You'll make the recommendation based on the circumstances. But more often than not, it's been great. Your mortgage payments have come down again, or you can afford to continue moving up the ladder. There's never been a time more like now where people need advice, because you're having to discuss the trackers, discounts, various options, extending term, reducing term, part interest only if need be. Just the whole holistic approach to the advice process for every client. And I think some newer advisors into the industry that haven't been through this or may have had really fantastic training. There's nothing that can replace the experience and the knowledge. And I think they may struggle a little bit, hopefully not, but it's going to be harder going forward in the market to a certain extent. But good advisors are worth the weight in gold. And I quote Martin Lewis, and that's what he said, because now more than ever, you need to have that trust with your clients. And the service should always be part of the process for me. And the service should never dip, ever.
And it's a service that wins, because a good mortgage advisor, to me, taking my hat off as a mortgage advisor, is I've seen a property, I want that property, there's going to be a rat race for it, I need to put myself in a position to be able to make an offer on that. Can I afford that mortgage? And annoyingly for us, we're so busy that putting you to the front of the queue just isn't possible, because the next person will need to be at the front of the queue and so on. So it's having that proposition as a company to be able to at least manage that influx of customers. So if I'm shouting that we're amazing, I need to be able to control the volume. But can I get you in for an appointment in 5 seconds and then spit that out the back end? Of course we can't. A customer might see that as, that's not a good mortgage advisor. What's a good mortgage advisor? Someone who can answer the phone. That, to me, is someone who's not busy enough to be able to do it, because we're absolutely snowed under. It doesn't necessarily mean that I might have had a cancellation. But I see is the customers that now at the moment, it's all about, I need it now. But then also we may be disappointing them, because their expectations are something that they did 2 years ago when they researched. And since then, their idea of their budget for a property has suddenly doubled because of monthly payments that now we're hitting them with. So we're quite bad news givers at the moment. And we've had a 10-year stretch of being good news. This is, that's brilliant, you're saving me a load of money. That's going to obviously give you a good review, because they're going to be thinking that was fantastic. I had nothing to do with that. That was just where the industry was. Now that we're more on a negative slope in terms of it's a morbid conversation of your payments are going up £200 a month.
You know what, you say that, it's so funny about the delivering bad news. And there was a recent story a solicitor told me, a local solicitor that we refer business to. And this is going back a good few years ago. I'll explain what happened. So the solicitor rang me about another case that we'd referred over to him for an update. And he said, oh, by the way, I had a client in that mentioned you today. And I was saying, well, obviously he didn't want to disclose who it was. And he said, yeah, I'm just dealing with a sale of a house. He bought a property through Help to Buy. and 2 years ago, and he's now having to sell it, and he's needing to downsize, move to something smaller because he can't afford the property. And I said to him, why don't you go and have a chat with Faz about your next purchase with the mortgage? And he said, oh no, I won't use Faz. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you go to Faz? He said, I didn't use him for the last mortgage because he told me I couldn't afford it. And God's honest truth, that's the solicitor had said. And I shouldn't feel good about that because obviously the guys...
Well, you shouldn't really, because you could have got him in a hole, couldn't you?
Well, exactly. But it made me think that there's still people out there that are willing to do a mortgage that should never have been done, because clearly I established he couldn't afford it. Yeah. But what really upset me was that I gave him the best advice, and yet he still won't. So the negative. So there's always going to be people that won't appreciate it, and I think more so now going forward, because we are going to be deliverers of bad news. Yeah. But there are always going to be people that you can't please. But for me, my conscience is clear. I did the right thing.
It's a fine line, though, isn't it? You're looking out for the customer first of all by not wanting them to get, in a position where they can't afford to pay it. You also don't want to, you don't want to be selling a product that that they're not going to pay off. So then the lender's going to end up sort of losing out as well. But then, obviously, from talking to you already, you can see it inbuilt in you that you wanted to please the customer. You want to do everything you can to get them out. So you're in a
battle against yourself.
In fact, sort of like you can't win. Can
it goes back to doing the job right. And I think if you do the job right, I didn't say to that particular client, you can't have a mortgage. I said because I know the development that he bought on as well. It's a new development near the solicitor's office, not far from the office. And I said that's above your budget with what you can afford based on what I've seen of your circumstances. But this is where, your kind of price range is. So it's trying to please them, give them what they want, but sticking to your morals and ethics and actually doing the job right. And for it not to come back and bite you in the backside. In this case, it actually bit me in the backside anyway. But
you say that, but then, with that, at least you can sleep knowing that you've done the right thing.
I've done the right thing. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not. I mean, I see it from my point of view. As I say, I'm always looking at things from my own sort of uneducated in mortgages sort of experience. If you find something that you want it, don't you? That's all you talk about. It's all you talk about with your missus, and you're like really getting sort of into that mind frame. But then
it's like your favourite barbers. you go to your favourite barbers that you go and you can't get in. You'll go to the next one because you just need your haircut there and then because you've got something planned. These people are buying property, and if they can't get booked in for the deadline of when they need to get that agreement in principle certificate, then why wouldn't they go elsewhere? So you will lose customers, but they're then gonna, and I would just like them say, well, actually Paddy was brilliant because he was able to get me in time where Faz couldn't. It doesn't mean that I'm better than him. It means that at that particular time you weren't able to. But their need at the time is a quick appointment, and that is completely out of our control. It could be that they've seen the property, they want to submit the mortgage application yesterday, but the driver license is at the previous address. So we're going to have to wait for them to do that. They'll see that as a frustration, but we are bound by the regulator to make sure that everything is as it should be before we submit the application. Right. We're not being difficult for the sake of it. The conveyor belt that you have within the industry is either I'm a mortgage advisor and I do everything, or I'm a mortgage advisor and I've got my team behind us. And that's where we stand out, and Faz and Ian stand out, is that we have that support network because we're not busy doing podcasts all the time, but we're busy having meetings with our new customers. But it's the guys that the graft in the background that turn that chat into something which ends up being the keys to the property that really get the credit, because we will just have a chat, and then obviously in an ideal world we have a chat, you get advice, you have to go. Yeah,
I think it's also managing clients' expectations that's key.
One's wanting an update on them, 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 one's wanting an update on their mum, 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 one's wanting an update on their mum. To validate that offer, you were then forced to stop what you were doing
to a certain extent, yeah. We had to, prioritise offers coming in and validate them, because ultimately the client of the estate agency is the vendor who's selling the property. So the expectation was that I would, and it's a promise they make to every vendor, is that we will qualify every offer that comes in. But what used to really annoy me was when somebody would walk in with an agreement to principal certificate from a local broker, and I would still have to speak to that client. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave, because why should I have to take up 20 minutes, half an hour of the client's time to go through what they've already gone through with somebody?
Yeah.
Now, if they're not happy with that person or haven't built that initial rapport, because let's be honest, whether you're going to do somebody's mortgage or do business with them or help them with their mortgage within the first few minutes of meeting them and doing their appointment.
Yeah.
And if they haven't had that initial build-up of rapport or trust, and then they will want to speak to me. But if they don't, why is there an insistence on the estate agency?
They've put a stop to that, haven't they? Builders can, or used to do, we need to pre-qualify you with our in-house. And there was a publication, I'd love to cite it, but it's not allowed. You can't say that you must use our broker. In the same way, we can't say, we work with Will and Holmes, we work with them well because they used to live down the bottom of our street. Their understanding is, off the back of Baz's experience and my experiences, that if someone comes in and says they're already sorted with a mortgage broker, we don't bother us with them. We're there to help those people that don't have one, because there's enough of us about to go and help service them. And it does annoy me when people, and we've had it, they've lost out on properties reserving them because they couldn't go, they had to go to their preferred mortgage broker to get the acceptance. We'd already okayed them, and they've still got terms.
So who's that? Who is it that's saying?
I can't.
No. Sorry. Who's saying that you have to go to?
It's something that has stopped. Is
this a house, a builder?
So let's imagine a big developer is selling 250 houses. It must be a pain for them. For the amount of people, I want that house, can I reserve it? 100 quid. Yeah. They take it off the market, lo and behold, they can't get a mortgage. Yeah. They need to be qualified. Oh, absolutely. But what was the problem is, similar to with Faz back in the day in the estate agency world, was my customers were going to the builder, they've already done the research, same day, and saying, I've been pre-qualified by PGS, you still need to speak to our preferred broker. Because they wanted to get that out on sale, they're not allowed to do it.
Right, I get that. So it's
the same way. The same way, like, honestly, when customers come in and say, I'm using this broker, I've already got it, but my mate says I need to come and speak to you, and I laugh and I think, good on them for shouting about this, but as long as you've been sorted, and I guarantee I could probably get a couple of clients to back this up. I've said stick with them, stick with the Cumberland, stick with whoever, because they've already done the job, and you're just going to have to repeat the process with me and get your paperwork. And
also, if I'm honest, there's almost in the back of your mind, there's a bit of a fear that if they then tell the estate agent or the builder that they're going to actually go back to use me after having been qualified by their guy or lady, then are they going to be in a less or a weaker position to actually secure the property? Because if somebody else comes in a similar position with an offer or being pre-qualified in-house,
never thought about
are we weakening our client's position by, even if they insist, by saying, look, I will do it, because you just don't know. And I think there's a bit of...
So would back in the day, would the estate agent relationship with the vendor be influenced by whether or not the mortgage was going through you or going through someone else? Because surely you want the
not
commission.
In my office.
Not in your office, but that would, wouldn't it? Because if the broker wanted the commission and he's speaking to the vendor, I've got two clients very interested, both similar offers.
I've always thought there's a conflict of interest with in-house mortgage advisors at estate agencies.
Yeah, it sounds that way, doesn't it? I mean,
because with two people coming in, one qualified to buy that 3-bed detached around the corner, on a brand new estate. One's pre-qualified by the builder's own preferred, where there's going to be presumably some sort of commission. Whereas using an external broker, there's nothing. Like, to me, is there going to be?
So is that not regulated then? Is that not a bit like
no.
What do you call it? Not a gift. Do you know what I mean? Like
under the bribery act. Gifts and hospitality.
Yeah, gifts and hospitality kind of thing. You know, because it is kind of you're pointing them for all intents and purposes. It might not be the best deal. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I think you'd have to, at that stage, trust the estate agents or the developer to do the right thing. And I think in the industry there has to be that trust for it all to work.
Someone's wanting an update on them
together. No doubt that the odd occasion untoward things happen, but I think it's part of the industry sometimes. I think it's far less of that happens these days now anyway.
So going back to what you said earlier about the customer that you'd advise them that they couldn't really afford the mortgage kind of thing. What would you do in that? So in that specific kind of time where they're desperate for the house, would you say, we'll have to wait and you have to come back if things have sort of changed, or what? What do you do, or is it just left as that basically?
I think a lot of it is down to knowing your customer. So a good example would be if I've got young couple on a good career path working in an industry where the dentist or newly qualified solicitor or even in a professional environment, if stretching them to the absolute limits now to get them that dream house, I'd feel a lot more comfortable going down that route with that kind of client. So because I know them, I know what their future's potentially looking like.
I mean, anything can happen, but you're right. It's like you've got a good idea.
But if I've got somebody who's been self-employed and in a shall we say volatile industry, and this particular client, and the figures didn't look as healthy as you'd want, then, or there wasn't the steady growth that you'd expect to see, and knowing the industry that he worked in as well, then no, my advice at that stage was, and I'm getting it proved right, that pushing yourself to that limit isn't going to be a wise thing to do. And I'm talking about extending the term. He was prepared to work to age 70, so max the term out and do whatever he can do to get them on. And again, it didn't sit right with me. So it depends who your client is. But again, it goes back to doing the job right. Know your clients, get to know your clients really well. Not just now what their circumstances are, but their future plans. Are they looking at having children? If they're looking at having children, then childcare costs.
You're only going to get that information by allowing themselves to open up because they do trust you in the field.
100%. Building that rapport.
To be honest, and Paddy will vouch for this, I'm the other end of the scale. When I think about anything, I overthink it. I'm notoriously tight, and I would worry. So I'd be coming to you rather than for you to rein me in and say you can't do that.
Tell me I can't.
Yeah, I would basically be coming to you saying, the wife, as ever, drop her in it, really thinks this house would be really good kind of thing. I don't think we could afford that kind of thing. So do you get that kind of thing as well, where you're saying, actually, you can...
I love it when we've got two customers.
Do you know what I mean?
Joint customers, and they're both completely opposite ends of the scale because it makes my job easier. It's worse when you have to be the person that puts the scenario to them that they didn't want to think about. So what would you do with this? What would you do with that? And it's better because that you can just, you don't have to be the person that makes that the awkward conversation in so like just kids, simple, like a young couple, 21-year-old buying the house first time together. You put them on the spot to ask about kids. They might not even discuss that themselves. So opening that conversation, I love it. But it's when they're so like, I don't know, whenever they really thought about that, then that puts them at risk as a vulnerable customer because they're buying a 2-bed brand new house with government help to buy, which doesn't exist anymore. But that to do that, then suddenly switch fire to a 3-bed house or whatever, is hugely expensive. So you need to be thinking. We will never tell them which property to buy and what not to buy, but that comes as part of the knowing your customer. And what Faz is saying,
but that can't be taught, can it? As you saying earlier, that can't be. You can't be trained up to have that sort of foresight and to.
Absolutely, experience. I think experience has a lot to do with it, but just. Clients also willing to accept advice and not making decisions straight away and going away and thinking about it. So another instance I had recently was a young couple wanted to buy and one was thinking, we'll buy something maybe 180, we still want our holidays and we want to do all this, and they could comfortably afford, very comfortably afford that. Or they could stretch to the house that they'd already visioned themselves being in 5 years' time, when they're planning for the children and everything else.
Yeah.
And looking at their circumstances, again, career paths, job that they worked in, they could comfortably also afford that.
Yeah.
So the only additional information that I gave them that helped them make their decision was, you're both first-time buyers. If you buy that bigger property now, you'll not pay the stamp duty as first-time buyers. Right. Whereas if you decide that you're going to buy now and then sell in 2 years, 3 years, do a 2-year fix and then buy again in 2 years for that dream house, there is the consequence that you lose your first-time buyers. They could comfortably afford both scenarios right now, but it helped them make their decision, being totally informed about everything. And
something I would never have thought about.
It's a podcast in itself. You could go so deep in it because, like, I mean, what could happen in the future? Everything. But let's say that family arrived a little bit earlier than they expected. Then is that now the 5-year house which they could afford because they could afford it? Okay, but is it unachievable in mortgage terms then? Things that could happen in your job, going self-employed, you know what I mean? There's difference between affordability. I can afford to pay this and what a mortgage lender would give you. At the same time, you could flip that. Sometimes they will give you more than you really can afford in terms of how their affordability works, because they're not factoring in what industry you're in. They're basing it a lot on a statistic that people can afford. Just because someone has missed payments in the past doesn't mean they'll miss them in the future, but it tells you that statistically they will. Yeah. Because we don't know that 40 grand a year job, the industry they're in isn't going to disappear, and therefore they're going to drop down to 30. There's loads of unknowns, but I think what we do as mortgage advisor is put them in that uncomfortable question of, what about if this happens? This happens. A great example is you, and I use this to my customers all the time, because we're going to buy a house, but we want to buy a 3-bed. We've got one small child, we're going to have another, and then we're going to call it a day. Baz on his second kid, twins.
No.
He's got 4. Third kid.
Third kid.
Yeah, so I've got 4 now.
Yeah. You'd had your second kid.
Oh, I thought you said on your second. No. So we had 2, and then the other 2 got died and lost one. So then, and then
because that extra kid you were thinking of could be, I say quadruplets, just so that
I'm not, because
it
does happen. I know that you think it never would happen, but it does happen.
But it's like, what would you do? And I like how I can. So normally, when I say we've got 2 people at different ends of the spectrum in terms of mortgage, what they're envisaging for their mortgage or property might be only a difference of 20 grand.
Yeah.
Right, in terms of mortgage and the property price they're looking at. If that has an extra bedroom or an office space or a garden, then
you
to
get
me,
all that extra for 20 grand in the north.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
But that to me would instantly. First thing I would do, I'd walk away from that. If we haven't made a decision, then I would walk away thinking.
What I mean about
20 grand? Can we afford 20? But if
you would think of it as 20 grand. It's the monthly payment that's important. So say that 20 grand is an extra 100 quid a month, and it's how much is that bedroom and lifestyle of not having to work from the kitchen or having a garden as a.
But this is what my wife would say. She'd be saying that side of it. I'd be at the other side. I just need that validation from someone who knows and who understands money and who understands.
I think sometimes it's not as much validating because we'll tell you can have that extra office space and not work from the kitchen and do your backing on the dining room, which a lot of people have done over COVID. But we can give you the figures, but ultimately it's informing you for you to go and make that informed decision.
Yeah.
We can't make emotional decisions for our clients. We can help them with giving the information that they need. But it goes back to what makes a good advisor or my advisor better than yours. It's taking the time to really invest in your client, get to know them, and explore all the opportunities rather than very much thinking of figures. That's what the affordability calculator churns out. If you extend it by 5 years, this is what you can borrow. Go away and find the property. It's fine. What are your plans? What are your lifestyles now? Do you like your weekends away? Can you give up, 1 full long day weekend away with the missus to cover the extra payments so that you can have that little office downstairs? Is that a sacrifice worth making? It's having the time to invest in your client to understand them and make them think, thought-provoking stuff.
We're just argumentative, aren't we? That's what we are. Yeah. I think we are, because you come to me and say, I want a mortgage for 25 years because my mum said that's what I do, right? argue that
Yeah.
because you've come to me with that because we're not order takers anymore. Why would you do that? You could just take 35 years and overpay at the rate of a 25-year term and you've got the same. But are you going to be in that property? No, I don't want to be in the property when I'm 75-year-old paying off a mortgage. In reality, the term isn't about saying we're going to have this mortgage for that long. It is on paper, but too many things will happen in your life, whether it be jobs, losing family members, gaining inheritance, kids moving out.
So you're only at that stage of having that mortgage for whatever you tie into, obviously, aren't you?
Yeah,
So
but, I mean, it could be default. You buy a house 25 years later, you pay your mortgage and you sell it and that's it.
Do you know anybody that's ever bought a house, lived in it,
but
mum and dad?
But on the flip side, if someone came to me and told me what I've just told you, I want a mortgage, I'm going to stretch it out because I'm not going to be in that property that long for the rest of my life. It's only short term. My mum's going to die and leave us loads of money. We'd go, but you can afford 25 years. We would, wouldn't we? We're just argumentative.
But I don't think that's good. It's
a tactic to employ a thought.
Well, I have a mindset. Yeah, I have a mindset. When I go in, if you're challenging that mindset, it does. You walk away. You might not instantly, like I said, I might walk away thinking, "Bloody hell, I can't afford an extra 20 grand." But when you think about it and process it, it's getting that. So just to move things on then, because we're conscious of time. You mentioned earlier on about your team and how important they are. Well, Paddy did, you didn't.
At this stage, I think it's worse than my sister-in-law is part of our team, and I'll have to. They're invaluable.
But how do you? What I was going to say is, how do you? First of all, how do you cherry pick the right person to fit into your values, which are obviously more personal approach? And second of all, how do you do that in just an interview, or how do you train them as well to that? Do you have certain? Do you know what I mean? You want the right person. Question. You want another you.
I think
or another 5 you.
That's the answer.
It's true. You want a mini me, but I think doing the job that we do, inevitably we meet so many different types of people from different walks of life. I wouldn't say we become good judges of character to a certain extent because of the number of different people we speak to. So when you are looking to bring on staff to expand, to have grow the team, I think you employ those innate skills that you've built up over the years that help you think, okay, I can see that person fitting into the team. And then a lot of it is telling them that this is the way you operate and can they fit into that, the ethos and the way that the office and the way that you work. And then if you feel that there is that mutual kind of linear working together, then you move on to the next stage. And the team that we've got is brilliant. And honestly, Lee in the office, for example, she came in as a very young, almost timid, quiet. And now, crikey, sometimes we can't get her to be quiet and shut up. But it's
there's a sound bite for you.
But the biggest and also And I didn't dare, because that's a huge commitment. I didn't dare.
It's massive.
And Faz and Ian bent us over this desk and said, you will take on a member of staff, and if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be where I was now.
Because we could see where your qualities were. Admin and paperwork was definitely not one of your strengths. So
we got Laurie just to correct myself.
We're gonna get on to that before you go anyway. So with that then, like, is what your sort of environment down there, is it similar to what it is up here? Because what shocked me kind of when I first came in, first time I had a meeting with Paddy, I expect, like, for me, same as estate agents, but like, you know, mortgage brokers, lawyers, I expect to go in, it's all like stiff, everyone's sat there, you know, it's because it's monetary probably, because it's in that sector. I come up here and it's just relaxed. And
I do, honestly, of course I might not like me saying this, but I do some appointments in the summer in flip-flops and shorts in the office.
But that would put me instantly at ease.
Yeah, I think it does with a lot of people. There are some people that would expect you to at least put a shirt on.
Yeah, but
see, them people that would expect me to put a shirt on, I would be happy for them not to be my customer.
Do I want to deal with that person? Because it's not what I'm wearing, it's what I can do for you and the knowledge that I've got. So it's the same down there as it is up here.
There's not anything wrong with that. Richard Branson still cuts off ties, doesn't he? If people turn in and he'll cut the tie off and say,
I haven't worn a tie in 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think I've
So is that the way the industry and everything's changed, do you think? Because I take it hasn't always been like that, has it? Or is it just because this is your way you've run with it? Or
if you're employed, then in a bank, then I mean, when I've worked for.
That's what I kind of imagine.
I don't know, you know. I can't remember.
The grey suited middle-aged person is I think is the vision of an advisor that nobody really wants these days. But I think you can go too far with it. You know, if I'm walking in with hats on and sunglasses and things like that, that's wrong. But it's putting the customer at ease for it to break down the barriers, for them to feel comfortable enough to allow you to do the job right.
I was watching Martin Lewis on. So what day is it today? 16th of March, isn't it? Yeah. 16th of March. So Martin Lewis on Thursday, the 14th. And I was watching it, and I was catching up because I miss a few. I like watching him because he helps me in other parts of the industry that I have nothing to do with, you know. And it's nice to know because your customers probably did listen when they talk about it, you know. But he'd said on maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago, he'd been off for a long break, and he had to they told him to get rid of his beard, and he mentioned that, and I'd love to hear why he thought that was appropriate, because he put a post on to say I'm here tonight, but he had his beard in his video that he put out on social media, but he said I've got to get rid of my beard because the producers have told us it's got to go. And that, to me, I laughed and I thought, you know what, because you see what Martin Lewis wearing, he's a bit like me, jeans, shirt, and if he's going to an event, Faz will make us wear my jacket.
Yeah, well that's that. But there is times, isn't there, where you need to.
Yeah, but even he, he is the people's person in terms of finance. He still had to go clean shaven and not.
They used to say having a beard makes you look like you're hiding behind something and makes you untrustworthy.
Why have you got a beard?
And a goatee beard in particular makes you look even more sinister and have more. There's some psychology behind it. They say. And my wife's already said to me, if that goatee beard ever comes back, the divorce is on your cards.
But it is mad though, because as a customer, and I know this, I'm guilty of this definitely, it is its first impressions. You go in there, and if I come in somewhere like this and it's relaxed, to me, it puts myself at ease. I'm more than willing to divulge things with you and actually think, oh yeah, what we're thinking in the future. And I think that's
we do in the summer, particularly when the clients are coming into the office. When I sometimes have to speak to them before they come in, just to remind them of something they might be. I said, listen, by the way, tomorrow don't expect me in shirt and tie. So I will be shorts and a t-shirt. But are you all right with that?
Yeah,
that's good.
And I've never, in fact, every single one virtually, everyone says, I prefer that.
Yeah, of course.
I'll feel more relaxed.
I just think I would be a bit too uptight. It's already a massive thing for me. Mortgages, anything money like that, and my head just gets back.
It would just be under the barrier.
It would be.
And I think it's probably harder for us to get the client's trust in shorts and t-shirts than if I stood. I did a Zoom appointment with somebody, and they'd been working from home all day, and he was in a shirt and tie, and he said to me, "I'll be working from home all day," and I did a Zoom, and he was, a Teams appointment was, and he was in shirt and tie, and I'm thinking, I hope you've not got shirt and tie on for me. But then I thought, he's probably been sat there all day doing appointments in shirt and tie. Why?
Madness. Yeah. Madness.
But again, if some people are more comfortable.
I wonder what Wall Street's like now, because if someone from Wall Street came and said, "Give us your money and I'm going to invest it for you," and they were dressed with that pinstripe suit on, that they all wore,
like
just
got that negative connotations.
I've got one of them pinstripes.
Wear it for the next appointment.
Right, you've got time for one more question.
I've got 3 very quick questions, very quick ones. We've kind of already touched on the first one, which was what qualities do you look for in someone that you would allow to join you the way that Paddy has? What is it? What did you see in Paddy in effect, and what kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be. Operating is definitely groundbreaking. It was nice that you know, within network that we work with, people are starting to want Paddy to speak to them and almost educate them about how things in this environment work. So, and he's doing it right. There's, you know, even for me at age of 45, TikTok, I don't have TikTok, but Paddy knows what TikTok is. He knows the demographics of the TikTok app users and what target market then he can go at, or the message that he conveys through TikTok as opposed to Twitter, which the demographics of which should be different. I've learned a lot from Paddy, and I enjoy it because it's stuff that I'm kind of interested in, but I'm probably a bit too old to really get into.
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's kind of, but it is almost like the TikTok generation. Give them a few years, they're going to need mortgages, so you've got to.
Yeah, absolutely. You know. But also, it's you can go into colleges and give talks to 16, 17-year-olds to make them feel at ease with financial stuff, or educate them, because I think there's a huge lack of education at year 9, 10, 11 and into college about education. But if Paddy can do it through TikTok to the younger generation, then absolutely.
Yeah, just because I've mentioned the data, and there'll be some listeners that are absolutely all over their data. Behind Faz, as he's talking, in the Houses of Parliament, how the government have decided to ban TikTok from all devices. So you could find in next week's podcast that we don't have a TikTok. This is what it's saying: social media app TikTok banned on all government devices due to security risks. So we're talking about TikTok a lot, but I get it. Social media TikTok is something that we are exploring because our customer base is on there. The 19 to 25-year-olds are on that platform. They're not on as much Facebook, and everyone knows that. That's the data. We're not trying to be an influencer. You can pay those to do that for you and direct traffic to your website and stuff like that. That's not what it's about. It's about putting informative pieces of information out there on another platform. And do I enjoy putting myself out of my comfort zone in that area? No. But do I enjoy the content that I'm putting in? Yeah, because it's already there by someone else, and I want to do it the PGS way. That's what we're trying to achieve. And this is why when Faz and Ian push their social media channel on reviews, it's because how can you argue with that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, how can you argue with a tip that I'm giving? Mainly directed at those in the military, where we do that anyway when we go down to the barracks. So all I'm doing is putting 30-second, 60-second clips out there. That it can spread to a wider audience.
And very nicely designed by bcreativecomedy.co.uk. Like to get that one in every time. So last question, just before you go, I know we've got a nip off. Does Paddy annoy you with his constant garbled voice notes? Do you get these, or is it just...
Weirdly enough, I think I've only ever had one or two off yous. We normally do.
For a while, remember when I did my back in?
Oh yeah, that was when you lost the ability to use both hands.
Medically induced ones.
Morphine.
Do you get a lot of these voice clips?
I get loads.
The girls and the ladies, the boys out there, are always talking about this.
Yeah, it's constant, and it's all. I don't know. It's almost like these little Einstein moments where suddenly come up with something. It could be any time of day. Boom. Can we do this, and this? And if he listened to it back in 20 minutes' time, he'd be like, I don't even know what that meant. What am I thinking? And it's these ideas, but that's what makes this brand work.
And I commend him on this. He's very unique with the way his brain works and coming up with lots of constant different ideas. And I love it. But I think it's probably the best way for him to just record them somewhere rather than writing it down. Because have you tried to read his handwriting? So let's stick to voice clips.
Or read my email that's been proofread 10 times.
Oh, his email's brilliant. Yeah,
but like touching on that, right, with the WhatsApp thing, it's a perfect example of where the industry lies and why this myth, which we're busting, that we all should be the same, but it's about the mortgage advisor that meets your needs. So that's the best mortgage advisor, is the one that fits you, not the one that gives you the better rate.
Not the one that charges the least fee or more of a fee. It's the one that you feel comfortable with and suits your needs.
So we've just worked with financial promotions department within Quilter to authorise basically an advert that says if you've got a question, drop us a WhatsApp. And on that WhatsApp, we can come back with a verbal disclaimer, annoyingly within the industry. If you don't have that, the cowboys will reappear. So we have to obviously explain who we are, what we are. With that, we can then get into a conversation where someone can drop me their 5 pence in a voice clip if they wanted to. Ask me that question that I can give them back instead of wasting their time and booking a 7:30 p.m. appointment to open up a channel of communication via a voice clip that I can use and say, look, I know you've just wrote that. I'm rushing out the door, but here is, in 5 seconds, my quick...
It's different words.
General advice rather than general suggestion rather than specific advice.
The annoying thing is I've just literally been listening to a podcast, Stephen Bartlett podcast, now he's CEO, and he had Joe Wicks on, this one of the early ones. Joe Wicks' advice to him was start using voice notes. To reply to people who were sending him DMs and stuff like that, and obviously you must have listened to that because it was a few years.
No, I didn't.
Few years ago, but it's
because I can't type. I can't type. I read what I've typed, and I'm like, yep, I've checked that. No one's going to screenshot on that and pick up anything daft. I press send, and then boom, it jumps out of the page.
Oh, the amount of times I just put a question mark or asked what when he's asking me to change a certain part of something and I can't find it.
Work to your strengths, use a voice clip. But imagine that if a customer said, Paddy,
your speeches are much better though.
That's good. That's because I'm from the wrong side of the water, maybe, isn't it? But can I do this, Paddy? I've heard this and I've got an idea. All I'm going to do is satisfy their nerves to then put back that later stage appointment that they need, because they need it. You need that structured appointment where you sat down, no distractions, not listening to my voice clip in between running from one place to another. But it's a good medium that people should be able to have access to, and we're trialing it. We're opening it up to say, look,
I'm starting to. I've had good voice clips off clients recently, and I'm finding myself sending voice clips back.
But again, that goes back to the whole personal approach in a way. You're hearing their voice. It's not just a text message which could be interpreted in a number of ways. You're getting the tone, you're getting everything.
Yeah,
and it adds to it a little bit.
It's like when I would always prefer to ring a lender and speak to a BDM or somebody on the phone rather than this live chat thing.
With the AI, like going back on TikTok, the AI is fantastic. You do the video for me, I put it in, I click, and it'll give us the captions, and it actually gives me even what I'm saying now in my mumbled tone.
Does it do it in your accent or not?
It pretty much does. I don't have to change much, and sometimes the things I change are the things I said.
It's amazing.
So we can replace Paddy.
So AI is there, but I just think what it is about, it's kind of like not letting those limitations that you're not good at, and your weaknesses get in the way of what you're very good at, is giving good advice. And I think if I'm trying to break down barriers that's there, and for my clients at that younger age, because I'm 10 years behind Faz, technically, because I'm building on my client base. So a lot of his clients wouldn't maybe dream of being on TikTok, but he still gets the younger clients. Whereas we're trying to aim with the military, which was my bread and butter when I left, because I left the military. But the military start young, so they'll always be young. Whereas my clients normally, as a mortgage broker, would age with me. Is that right?
Yeah.
Ish.
But we are like pigeonholed as well. There's plenty of people 40 plus that are on TikTok. They just they have free time. They have free time.
Ian's on TikTok because every now and again he starts laughing during lunch when he's watching a video.
Poor Ian. We'll get him on to have a reply to that.
We'll end it there. Faz, thanks for popping in.
Yeah, it's been really good that. Really
today's myth was my mortgage broker's better than yours. We've busted it.
The answer was that Faz is better than Paddy, I think, wasn't it?
Thanks for having me on, guys.
I'll take that one on the chin. Well, we never know what next week's podcast will be, but we'll look forward to seeing you. Thanks very much. Your feedback's important. Ask questions. Let us know if there's anything that you'd like us to bust. And yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks, Faz. Thanks, Baz.
Thank you.
Thank you.